What's going on, guys? I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about Russell Vogt. You can see on the screen here. The name of the stream is Who is Russell Vogt? Russell Vogt has recently been appointed to the Office of Business and Management, in the United States government. And that is an interesting situation. It presents some challenges because of this individual's background and his allegiances. And especially for us, how it presents challenges is for mulattoes embracing a mulatto identity and how we see there's a concerted effort to neutralize us. And they will respect the autonomy of all these other groups, even though they claim that, they're against identity politics, right? They're against racialized politics and all this stuff. They say that on the conservative side, but they seem to acknowledge the autonomy and sovereignty of basically literally every group. But when it comes to mulattoes, there's this gray area, pun intended, right? They don't quite know how to handle us or what to do with us. They, for the past 100 years, they just basically pushed us into blackness and said, hey, stay over there, help them out, or represent them, vice versa. It's not working out for a lot of you. That's why you guys tune into me, right? You guys realize something's going on. But there's many levels to this, many levels. And what we're going to focus on now is at the highest levels within our political realm here in the United States. We see individuals who are appointed and what is their position. So I'm basically just going to talk a little bit about Russell Vogt, get you guys informed on this individual, his background, a little bit of his background, and let's just start from there and we'll take it from there. So of course you got Wikipedia, which can be a credible source at times, but obviously, I have issues with it, as many of you do, because of the whole one dropping phenomena, which Wikipedia partakes in. Okay. And yeah. So Russell Vogt was born in 1976. So he's about 50. Next year, he'll be turning 50 years old. And he's an American government official and conservative political analyst who has been the director of the Office of Management and Budget. I think I said Office of Business and Management earlier. I apologize, guys. You know how it is. Since February 2025, so a couple months ago, he held, or last month, I should say, he held the same position from July 2020 to January 2021. So he served for less than a year back in, 4 years ago, let's say. And it was under Trump as well, right? Or he got appointed in that position when Trump was in office, but when Trump left office, then he kind of left as well, which is very typical. So it says right here, he's a self-described Christian nationalist, right? Christian nationalist. Interesting. Vought is the founder of the Center for Renewing America, an organization that opposes critical race theory and advocates for the idea of America as a nation under God. He has also played a significant role in Project 2025. You guys hear a lot about that. Project 2025. That's the Heritage Foundation, right? Initiative led by the Heritage Foundation that aims to advance conservative right-wing policies and reshape the federal government. In May 2024, he was appointed policy director of the Republican National Committee's Platform Committee. Interesting. In November 2024, President-elect Donald Trump announced that he would re-nominate Vought as director of the OMB for his second term as president. He was confirmed by the United States Senate to the office February 6th by a vote of 53-54. A little bit of a background: an electrician and U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and George Washington University Law School, 2004. It says Vought served as vice president of Heritage Action, the lobbying arm of the Heritage Foundation. He was the executive director and budget director of the Republican Study Committee, the policy director for the Republican Conference of the United States House of Representatives, and a legislative assistant for U.S. Senator Phil Gramm. Okay. There we go. OMB, Office of Management and Budget. Here we go. In April 2017, President Donald Trump nominated Vought to be deputy director of the Office of Management Budget. And I'll get into that as well. Like, what's their responsibilities? Why is this significant? The Office of Management and Budget is the agency that oversees the census data collection. They have to basically they come up with this data for the census, and when you check the census in the box, what do you got? You guys talk about what should we call ourselves, how, how do we identify, what do we check, about all this stuff. This is down to government policy, and it's the Office of Management and Budget that oversees all of that. This is why this is significant for you guys. He was confirmed by the Senate in February, 2018. Vice President Mike Pence cast the tie-breaking vote, right? During a confirmation hearing, Senator Bernie Sanders questioned Vought about a statement that Muslims, quote unquote, Muslims do not simply have a deficient theology. They do not know God because they have rejected Jesus Christ, his son, and they stand condemned, end quote. That's because this guy is a Christian nationalist. So, of course, opposing theology, he is not going to take too kindly to that. And he says various Christian organizations denounced Sanders' questioning as a violation of the No Religious Test Clause. Emma Green, The Atlantic, wrote Sanders' questioning flirted with the boundaries of the No Religious Test Clause. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to bore you guys with all this stuff. I mean, this is kind of going to be a boring stream for some of you. I mean, the whole thing is like with my whole social media, I don't want people over here who are not interested in this type of stuff. That's the critical thing as well. So I say it's boring because I got a lot of knuckleheads and stuff who want to tune in for various reasons. But this is specifically geared for people who are action focused and who want to be informed on what really matters as far as moving forward. We can have these conversations all day, but have the conversation with the right people and move forward with some action. So like I said, I'm not going to read all of this stuff. I do have some sources and links I want to provide for you guys. And that's the whole point, is I want to share this with you guys so you guys are more informed on important people that we should be focused on. We should know about them, know what they're doing, what their agenda is, and ultimately, what is your agenda? Okay, you Mulatto Americans. All right, what is your agenda? Because as you can see, pretending that you're like them, right? Wink, wink. It's not working out for a lot of you guys. I mean, that's why you guys come over and tune into me. You realize, oh shit, something's wrong. So you got to be your own advocate and establish an agenda. Because everyone else has their agenda. We see with the Heritage Foundation. Okay. We see that with Project 2025. Like, everyone else has an agenda. What's yours? And we got to look at people who are going to be opposed to us in our agenda. They won't even want to grant you your own, category on the census to how you identify. They don't even want to grant you that. I mean, that's pretty extreme. That just lets you know they're not trying to hear what you have to say. So, Center for Renewing America, which is Vought's organization, in January 2021, Vought started an organization called the Center for Renewing America, which is focused on combating critical race theory. That's his whole premise of his whole organization. And he's a Christian nationalist, right? But he wants to combat critical race theory, which that's why he's at the Office of Management and Budget. And that's the whole thing they're doing right now with the government. An affiliated issue advocacy group called American Restoration Action. The mission of the groups plural, is to renew a consensus of America as a nation under God. According to Axios, the groups will provide the ideological ammunition to sustain Trump's political movement after his departure from the White House. Okay. Yeah, infrastructure plan, actual roads and bridges. Okay. We go. Citizens for Renewing America, the advocacy arm of the Center for Renewing America, released a guide to combating critical race theory. Vought told Fox News the 33-page handbook is a crash course in CRT, a one-stop shopping for parents trying to hold their school board members accountable, right? Because what it is with them, the opposition, because they're upset that actual American history is getting taught in a lot of ways because they try to hide and cover up some of the atrocities that were committed to certain groups, right? Minority groups in particular, because those quote unquote minority groups are now becoming the majority group in all these other areas, right? And the once majority group is becoming the minority group. And that's what this whole immigration situation is all about. So they're fearful of that. They see that and they can't do anything to stop it. And so they basically want to prevent information from getting out there. Silence voices. They're all for censorship. They say they're not. They say they're pro free speech and all this shit. No, no. You criticize, certain countries, I can say that. Not America. You can criticize America. They love that. Or any other country. China, Mexico, Russia, whatever. But there's one country, and you all know who that is. And that the government in that country, if you criticize them, watch. Watch what happens. It doesn't matter with the mulattoes over here. They're already shadow banning me anyways. It doesn't matter. But they're not for freedom of speech, and they are unless you criticize their top dog. So former U.S. Department of Justice official who appeared, yeah, okay. Project 2025, who Vought is a key central person drafting the whole agenda. Vought played a major role in the creation of Project 2025, a collection of conservative and right wing policy proposals from the Heritage Foundation to reshape the United States federal government and consolidate executive power. Project 2025 includes proposals to reclassify tens of thousands of merit based federal civil service workers as political appointees in order to replace them with Republican loyalists. It seeks to infuse the government and society with Christian values, right? So the whole freedom of religion and all that stuff. But yeah, clearly the Christian nationalist is really pushing. In August 2024, CNN reported on a lengthy conversation between Vought and two journalists who falsely claimed to be relatives of the potential donor. The conversation, which occurred in July 2024, was videotaped by the journalist without Vaught's knowledge. The video shows Vought describing his secret efforts to prepare executive orders for a potential second Trump administration, as well as expansive views on presidential power, his plans to restrict corn and immigration, and his complaints that the GOP was too focused on religious liberty. During the conversation, Vought summed up his core political ideology as Christian nationalism. Yeah, he's Christian nationalist. He's saying that or that was an observation they're quoting, his complaints that the GOP was too focused on religious liberty. Well, isn't that the foundation, freedom of religion, which is theology? You can believe what you want to believe. But this guy's like, no, we need to make it so you're Christian, right? Yeah, good. Cool. Let me move on from there. Of course, I'll share that with you guys, a link. So, going back to the Office of Management and Business and Budget, that was my slip up again. Office of Management and Budget. Going back to that, because this is in Vought. I just kind of read a brief, whatever short bio of the guy and his involvement. He is the head of this department. And this is the department that's responsible for like I said earlier, the census data collection, right? And they respect the autonomy of all these other groups. Like they just included the MENA, we can say MENA, which is Middle Eastern, North African category on the census. So they'll allow those people, to check that box to be counted and calculated as a Middle Easterner or an Arab or, North African, which would be, yeah, Arab, Muslim, Middle Eastern, right? So they respect the autonomy of all these groups, right? But it's the mulatto they conveniently see because our voices are not as amplified as I'd like it to be. This is why you got too many mulattoes who are hiding underneath blackness and fighting their battles for them. Because that's really what it is. I mean, you do have the mulattoes who fight to be assimilated and want to be a part of the white body politic for sure. Not saying it doesn't exist. But where are the mulattoes who are advocating for their own autonomy as a group? I don't see it really anywhere. I don't see it. We're starting to see more of it now, but it's the voices are not as amplified as I'd like. Office of Management and Budget. The Office of Management and Budget serves the President of the United States in overseeing the implementation of his or her vision across the executive branch. OMB's mission is to assist the President in meeting policy, budget, management, and regulatory objectives and to fulfill the agency's statutory responsibilities. Let me just go through this real quick for you guys. The Office of Management and Budget oversees implementation of I already read that, right? Departments and agencies. Number one, budget development and execution. Two, management, including oversight of agency performance, procurement, financial management, and information technology. Three, coordination and review of all significant federal regulations from executive agencies, privacy policy, information policy, and review and assessment of information collection requests. Four, clearance and coordination of legislative and other materials, including agency testimony, legislative proposals, and other communications with Congress, and coordination of other presidential actions. Five, clearance and presidential executive orders and memoranda to agency heads prior to their issuance. Okay, a lot of legal jargon, definitely above, I'm what am I? I'm a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. Okay. I'm not a podcaster, not a YouTuber. I just hop up on here late at night to connect with you guys. And I'm very thankful that I've found a lot of you. But what I'm saying is, well, like with all this, their whole directives here and their points, like this is very kind of broad. Like, what's the meat of the matter of all of this? But this is a government agency. Their whole situation is allocating resources and being able to determine who can get what. Literally in the name of the agency or the department is budgets and management, Office of Management and Budget, right? But it has to do with the census as well. That's the main thing I want to focus on here. Not so much of the economic policy, which is very important. We should all be well informed. But for us as mulattoes, coming into our own, developing this consciousness as it's growing, it's only the beginning. We're still literally in the infantile stages. There's not that many voices out here. They kind of come and go and stuff like that. I heard there was a website called mulatto.org or something like that, like 20 years ago. I don't know where it's at now. And even a guy who had a dating website, it was called Black Planet, I believe. It was like a dating website. And he's a mulatto guy who started it. He married a mulatto woman, but a mulatto guy started a website to help Black people like connect and date and stuff. But like, it would be great if we had mulattoes doing that to serve mulattoes. But see, we have to educate people with understanding their own autonomy and personhood, letting them know it's okay to advocate for themselves, have your own agenda, connect with people. And so that is the Office of Management and Budget. I know there's a lot of you guys listening to me who can explain this a lot better than me. Trust me, I know. But for those who don't know, I'm sharing it with you guys. And of course, I will post the links and resources to all that so you guys can see what I'm seeing. And what I have right here as well is like a call to action. I can share this with you guys right here. There we go. Cool. Got it on the screen here. It's an email, 2 emails, and that is to the Office of Management and Business. Okay. You guys can see 2 emails there. Information quality at OMB, which is Office of Management and Business.eop.gov. Other one is the statistical directives, statistical_directives at omb.eop.gov. Both of these emails, you guys need to email them. I'm going to share this again. Email them, tell them that it's important and imperative for them to reinstate the mulatto category on the census because they've just initiated this whole MENA, MENA, Middle Eastern North African. They've respected the autonomy of that specific group or groupings of people who want their own identity. Because prior to that, they were forced to check white or black in some cases. You had Egyptians who would just check black or something. That I'm African American, right? They'd say something like that, or Moroccan, but like now they're giving them their own box they can check. Okay, what about us? Like, You don't identify with the whole Kendrick Lamar crowd, all the racists who are Kendrick Lamar fans and all that whole crowd. Like, we don't identify with them. They're not our people. We don't have the same destiny as them in philosophy and culture and heritage. We're not the same as them. So we need a category, a label, identity that's for us. So what do you guys have to do? Or you don't have to, but what you need to do is you need to email the Office of Management and Budget and let them know, tell them that we need a mulatto category to respect and identify and properly calculate people who are of European and African descent to identify as mulatto. That's it, guys. Be your own self advocates. And you have these emails here, screenshot it, okay, write it down, and go email them. Let them know that you need the mulatto category on the census. If enough of you guys do that, things are going to change. There's not that many of us. See, it's with the numbers game. And you guys are growing. The population's growing. Mulatto Americans are growing vastly across the country. The more of you guys that do this and advocate for this, things will happen. Because within the cultural kind of parameter, we can say we already see a shift going on. You got people like Sage Steele. Okay, she's on the Republican kind of right side. She's biracial identified. We see her. And who do you think gives her slack, right? Or flack, we should say, right? For identifying as biracial. They'll call her names. You can't be biracial. Well, yeah, she can. She's mulatto. Right. And then we have Amber Rose. Okay. You can say what you want about her, but I respect the fact that she identifies biracial and she defends guys like Drake, mulattoes. Because she doesn't defend Drake's actions or if he does anything inappropriate or something. We don't know the man. There's not enough evidence out there to suggest, like, people like me, I defend Drake because people are attacking him because he's mulatto. And Amber Rose is in the same position as me. She's like, yeah, she's going to defend Drake because people attack him because he's mulatto, right? So we do see that in the cultural uh, realm, I can say, where you do see where people realize, oh, wait a second, this guy's biracial, this guy's mulatto, this woman's biracial, but you're attacking him. So we see the consciousness growing politically, or culturally, I should say, but politically, we do need to see more action, right? And where people get caught up on is the whole criteria number one, which is the name designation. People still get caught up on that. I've, from the beginning, since I started blabbing my mouth in this microphone on social media, whatever, YouTube, from the beginning, okay, mulatto, that's it. If you want to call yourself something else, have a good day. Have fun over there. But over here, it's just mulatto. That's what we are. That's our culture identity. That's it. You like it? Great. We got a seat for you over here. If you don't like it, well, have fun. I hope it works out for you. So mulatto exemplifies and specifies everything. And we have a historical claim because it was on the census. That's where we have an advantage over all these other people with their other proposed names they want. Well, mulatto's offensive, my black baby daddy is going to feel excluded or whatever, right? So, yeah, because that's what it is. They feel like with the whole mulatto category, it's less inclusive, ultra specific. So they feel like some folks are going to be left out. These are the black identified ones who have an issue with the mulatto. I've known that, like I said, from day one. It's like a litmus test. Who's on board, who isn't. You start want to say, well, let's use this word instead, so my black baby daddy or whatever, black baby mama can be included. They got 30% colonizer DNA, so they're just like us. Okay. Have fun over there. Okay. But guys, these emails here, check it out. Email them and get back to me. Or don't. Just email them. Do something. Advocate for yourself. And so we have here I want to show you guys the updates, what I just previously talked about, how they updated recently the census, right? What updates to OMB, Office of Management and Budget's race/ethnicity standards mean for the Census Bureau. Okay, Census Bureau falls under the OMB. This is Census Bureau's website, but they fall under OMB, Office of Management and Budget, right? And let me go to the part where it's like, what updates have they made? They've included, I said, the category for the, look at this, new Middle Eastern and North African categories. Extensive engagement with the Middle Eastern and North African community has shown strong support for a meta category and a need for demographic and socioeconomic statistics about its population to inform policy decisions, health research. Okay, what about you mulattoes talking about bone marrow transplants? All these racist white nationalists and the black nationalists who are working under the white nationalists, they all mock you and tell you there's health issues being mixed race. You can't get a bone marrow transplant. Well, looky here. Once the government gets involved and they identify the Middle Eastern North African people, guess what? Now they're going to conduct health research. They're going to solve some of the health disparities that they have. Oh, looky here. But with you, the mulatto, see, you're a political threat to the system. They want to remain and maintain the binary nature of the European and African here. And you're the wild card. You're the guy, you're the revolutionary, you're the one who changes the system. So they definitely want to suppress you. They don't want you to be an advocate. No. But you see, these other groups, they're going to conduct research, health research for them, help them out. Isn't that lovely? Civil rights monitoring and enforcement and many other needs. Yeah. So they got their, see, because the government's involved now, taxpayer funding money, you guys are all paying for it. You're paying to help them get their health research. But for you, the mulatto, you need some health research and some answers and bone marrow transplant. Oh no, you just got to take a shitty deal, right? The thing is, you guys accept it. Well, it's because you guys don't open your mouth and question this stuff. Until now, we got some voices out here. So I just went off on that little tangent, just how important it is to have the category. And when the government acknowledges that, well, then they have to allocate resources for your benefit. You're a recognized group. Required collection and detailed race ethnicity data. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to point that out how it's like this new category they call MENA, if I'm pronouncing it MENA, right? Or MENA, Middle Eastern North African category. They have their own category now. Good for them. I'm not hating on them. I'm just stating where it's like mulattoes have Americans have been in this country since the inception and before this nation was even founded. We've always been here. So it's like, and they've honored that prior, but with the Anglo-Saxon Club, which they rebranded it now to like the Heritage Foundation. It's the same shit, right? So, but they want to neutralize you. They see you as a political threat to the system to upset the established social order. Because the trailblazers are always been mulattoes in America. Thurgood Marshall. If you don't like Barack Obama, I know he's a puppet. Yeah. Okay. But even him being in that position, that's a mulatto man. Wasn't a black man. And we already went over the whole cultural ramifications and everything. So it's very interesting. But they look at you as a threat to the system. And they need to maintain the social order. But they honor these other groups, these buffers, we can say, giving them their autonomy, acknowledging them. And of course, like, medical research and civil rights and all of that. Where the hell is ours? Where is ours? So let me go over real quick his project, or he actually founded this Russell Vought I'm talking about, the Center for Renewing America. This is his organization. For God, for country, for community. Okay. Our mission is to renew a consensus of America as a nation under God with unique interest worthy of defending that flow from its people, institutions, and history, where individuals' enjoyment and freedom is predicated on just laws and healthy communities. Sounds good. And the whole thing is the whole like premise of this is to combat DEI, right? Or he called no critical race theory is his whole like DEI spending. And the image he has here, it's like Joe Biden with surrounded by a bunch of like black people. I don't know. Their civil rights or like Christian church. It's funny how this guy says he's so Christian nationalist, but most black people in America are Christian. But see, it's like the code words and language they use is very interesting. Heritage Foundation and Patriots and Christian. And we're like, well, there's it's white nationalism kind of rebranding itself, right? To be more acceptable to the broader public because they want you to go along with it and walk lockstep without challenging. So they got to use innocuous language to get you guys kind of thinking it's something that it's not. And of course, the rainbow flag here, the images they use here is kind of funny. Got the little rainbow or balloon, like rainbow colored, right? Which is supposed to symbolize LGBT. And then Joe Biden, one white guy surrounded by a sea of black faces, right? So we know when the people who visit this site, what the response, they're triggering a response, right? Because they're all anti DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti critical race theory, which is fine. That's their whole political position. My whole thing is, okay, you're the head of the Office of Management and Budget now that oversees the United States Census. You guys are talking about you're against identity politics, but you honor and respect a racial identity group, Middle Eastern, North African. You acknowledge them and give them a category in a census so you can allocate resources for civil rights research and for healthcare research. You do that for them. But for the Mulatto Americans, you say access denied, right? Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. You're not going to silence us. You can try to silence me. That's fine. There's going to be more coming up after me, and you can't silence me. You'll try. And it has here woke and weaponized, right? Because that's, like I said, the whole. And it's funny, all these, like, see, this is what they hate, what they're talking about with the culture thing, because they see the image here. It's like a white lady. You look at her t-shirt. She says, "I met God." She's black, saying it's like kind of black feminism kind of has empowered even white feminists or and stuff like that, right? You look at her t-shirt, a white woman wearing that. Would you see a black woman wearing a t-shirt like that that says, "I met God," and she's a white woman? No, you don't see any pictures out there like that, because it's already understood they kind of worship white people anyways, right? And white people use them against us. I mean, that's what the whole Tariq Nasheed and the whole FBA and all that stuff, where they're claiming they're indigenous, like they're being weaponized by the whites, Anglos, to attack mulattoes, to harass us, stalk us, and dox us and all that stuff. It's the whites who are helping them out, right? So, but this image is interesting, woke and weaponized. And it's like all these like protesters, we can say protesters, they're all like white. So what is woke? Because I thought woke was a quote code word for black or something. But yeah, I don't know, I guess. You tell this broad language, just like when you talk about Christian nationalists. Most blacks in America are Christians. Are they included? Oh, they want the separate but unequal strategy. They don't want the assimilation strategy because they'll have a bunch of mulattoes, baby. They don't want to empower you. No, but they can't stop it anyways. I mean, they can try with this initiative they have and, all this stuff. They're not, that's why, like, they're for immigration, but select nations, even with this whole Mexican thing, because they've allowed them to assimilate ever since the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, when they had the Texas, war against Mexico, right? U.S. Mexican War. They've always allowed those people to assimilate. They've always offered a assimilation package, pathway to citizenship, always. Now they're trying to get the Indians, East Indians, to assimilate. We'll see how that works out. But their fear is the mulatto. They don't fear these other groups. Okay, the threat of radical philosophies rooted in Marxism, such as critical race theory, is vast, real, and increasingly existential. This framework views all of society through a racialized prism of identity groups. See that? The framework views all of society through a racialized prism of identity groups. Very broad and vague, but we could say the same for everybody else, right? For Elon Musk, for Donald Trump, right? Like I said, with the whole identity politics, because he puts right here identity groups, they use that on the right as like a code word to attack you, to try to make it so you don't advocate for yourself while they advocate for their own, right? They advocate for their own supremacy. See, they just use crafty code words and language that are innocuous to trick you, like Heritage Foundation, Renewing America, or Christian. But the Christian thing, okay, what we already went over the fact that, yeah, most people in America were native born, whatever, been in America. It's a very heavy Christian culture. I'm Christian. But there's another side to that Christian equation they're not talking about. That's whiteness. That they don't want to touch upon that. The Protestant Reformation, John Calvin, They don't want to talk about that part. Ultimately, these radicals seek to erase the American idea that all men are created equal, endowed by their creator. Yeah, just repeating pursuit of happiness, repeating what's on the Declaration of Independence. Look, the thing is, who the hell is saying that all men aren't created equal? These radicals seek to erase. But how are they? Because these are white people, this white lady with the black woman's god t-shirt, they're kind of advocating for like equality, we could say racial justice. They're literally the people. This is the public here. These are everyday people who work at fast food, grocery stores, whatever. They're trying to, and they're encouraging the public in the world to recognize, embrace equality, so to speak. So when this guy, his website, he puts here, these radicals seek to erase the American idea. But how are they doing that? They're not, are they pushing supremacy? Woke and weaponized are all these people with their masks on because they don't want to get pepper sprayed by you fucking Nazis and shit. You got these stormtroopers, jackbooted thugs and shit, in military gear, throwing pepper spray and shit to these people, peaceful protesters or whatever. But it's still like you're heavily equipped with military grade equipment. You got protesters with signs and t-shirts on, free assembly, free speech, and you want to like run up on them and punk them. And then, yeah, they're covering their faces because they don't want to get pepper sprayed and inhale that shit. But I thought it's funny how it's like these radicals, what radicals want to erase the American idea? How? This is just like a dog whistle and a fear mongering tactic to amplify their base, which are the conservative whites who know they're becoming a minority in the United States. And, that's it. Like, and how are they going to reverse that? Going to build a big wall and, how are you going to reverse that? It's inevitable. Don't blame little old me. I'm nobody special. I'm reporting the news. I see with my eyes. This is it. Like you guys have to go out and create families. That's on you. It's your priorities, your morality. That's people are questioning. So the Center for Renewing America knows that in order to revitalize the American spirit and restore our great nation, your nation is still great. They try to act like it's doom and gloom. We have to restore our great nation because they see the trajectory where they're losing power and influence. But the nation, as far as I'm concerned, like I've been to several countries, America is still like the best for me. I'm born here. I love this country. So I don't understand how it's like restore a great nation. The nation's still fucking great. A couple months ago, I was driving through some of the states here, traveling as a free American. I love driving, crossing different states. I definitely feel free, going to new places, new towns, new areas I haven't seen. And it's like I I don't know. I look around myself. I look around. It's like this is a really good nation. But this doom and gloom, they have to get people fearful. This far left ideology must be defeated. What far left ideology? Didn't specify anything. Said rooted in Marxism, such as critical race theory, is vast, real, increasingly existential. The framework views society through a racialized prism, identity groups. But you're an identity group. You're a Christian. That's an identity. You identify as a Christian man. You're part of the problem. You say, see, like the broad language they use, they try to pretend like it's very innocuous, but underneath it all, it's white nationalism. They're just trying to market it into the public to accept it. But how are you going to do international trade? You guys are not the majority. They do international trade. You want resources, you want deals, and all these other people, well, they're not going to you're not going to identify with you. So they have to use this kind of crafty language to position it as if it's innocuous. But for a guy like me, I get it. I already know what's up. And that's why they want to deny mulattoes our autonomy and our voice, because we know. The Center for Renewing America, right? American Spirit, Center ready millions of citizens to stop this cultural revolution, stop the cultural revolution. What it is with the whole DEI, you could say, or the woke, he's saying woke and weaponized, is because what he puts on here, the image, where he has a white woman who has a t-shirt saying, I met God, she's black. They're seeing white Americans who are basically kind of embracing a black identity, we can say, or sympathetic towards the black plight, we can say. They're on the streets fighting and marching for, Black Lives Matter. That's when he talks about this culture revolution. That's what he's talking about. They already have blacks where they want them. It's the fact that there's white people who will basically take on the black plight, and their fear is they're rooted in Marxism, but he never goes over any points. Talks about critical race theory, which is studying race from an academic lens that a lot of the institutions don't want to go into. They don't want to dive deeper into that. He says racialized prism identity groups, but it's like you and your buddy Elon Musk and the rest of them, like, bro, we already have receipts on all you guys. You guys are all hyper racialized with identity politics, and you just push the whole identity politics shit to shame the opposition. Like, this is all it has. That's all it is. So I'll bring up, we got, what is it? The Heritage Foundation. This is the big one, the one who created the Project 2025, right? The initiators. This is their think tank. You say like the Anglo-Saxon Club we talked about with the 1924, 100 years ago, right? The Racial Integrity Act. You had Walter Pleckard. So this is kind of the evolution of that. The Heritage Foundation, because they have to use this broad language to make it seem more innocuous for the public to consume, the public to go along and just walk along with it, right? Think it's acceptable. So they use Heritage. Got a bell here. It says, get your 2025 Heritage membership card. Donate now to receive your card and defeat the deep state. Defeat the deep state. That's on the right. They talk about the deep state. But on the right, you guys have the richest man in the world who's like, basically paying off politicians. He's doing that to judges right now for their next election. He's over in Germany and England. He's like meddling with other countries' affairs, in politics. You got a guy like that with basically an infinite budget, but yet they're still running around here talking about George Soros. I have somebody close to me. See, like they're in there, what they call that, they call echo chambers, right? These like Republican echo chambers. Like, you got people who they get their information, they're still talking about George Soros and shit. I'm like, bro, you guys, your George Soros on the right is all out in the fucking public doing everything you guys accuse George Soros of doing. You got Elon Musk. Oh, but he's trying to fix. He's a good guy because he's a white guy supporting Trump, right? So he's a good guy. That's how they position the argument. But you guys talked about George Soros paying off protesters or whatever, or buying protesters and all this subversion that he was doing. But you got Elon Musk who's all out in the open. Like, all this money he's spending to meddle in, like, it's all going to come crashing down. You guys just watch. And it's not just Tesla, his little car company. It's a lot. This stuff is all going to come crashing down. When the public is not going to approve, that's it. They have to cow you people to go along with it. And I'm saying specifically for the mulattoes who don't even want to advocate for themselves. They still feel indebted to the communita. When a communita spits on you, they mock your dumb ass. They call you, they light skin, you're weak and you got light skin. They mock you, and you still sit there and like sympathize with them. That's why I have a hard time. Like, I support a lot of people, like the creators and stuff, and they get their voice across. But man, like, you still like act like that group is like your people and stuff, and like that's all you know. I get it. That's all you know. So, but the mulattoes were, yeah, different background. And that's the thing people don't want to talk about, is we're a different background, different heritage configuration, and there's enough of us now. We just get our own shit popping. But look at this. Heritage Foundation, U.S. Israel strategy from special relationships to strategic partnership, 2029, 2047. Damn, that's a 20-year plan. Oof. Trump is bringing about a regime change not seen since 1933. Wow. Educating the American citizen, changes in schools as assimilators of immigrants. This is a big one. This is front row. U.S. Israel strategy. Because a lot of these Christian nationalists, like you have the guy Russell Vought, or Vote. He's a Christian nationalist, but they're all basically in the back pockets of Israel. I mean, this is really, and we see over in the discussions over on X, Elon Musk's X, all the wingnats, they're up in arms about that. They realize they've been duped by their God savior Trump when they realize they see him holding out the chair for Benjamin Netanyahu, it's a major fucking L. Your guy, your leader, and you want the rest of the world to kind of respect that. Or he's pulling out the chair for the Israeli prime minister, right? And so this is what it all is. Yeah, the US, Israel, and that's it. More on that later. And then there's other voices who can get into all that stuff. I don't want to get in trouble. Let me just put it like that. I'm not trying to get in trouble. So this is their website. I'm going to share this with you guys right here, the Heritage Foundation, because this is critical. These are the ones, the policy initiatives. This is their think tank. This is their think tank. This is where they get the donors. They have people who fund them. You yourself can donate, get a membership card right here. Donate now to receive your card. Defeat the deep state. By giving them money, they can defeat, and they are the fucking deep state. That's they got Elon, they got the richest man in the world on their side, but they're talking about deep state. And partnership with Israel, of course, on top. They got the fall Black Lives Matter Plaza. It's like symbolic, but they'll just build another one somewhere else. It's really stupid. The whole trans thing here, trans and Black Lives Matter, but they serve and work for Israel. That's basically what it is. And pro America, yeah. So, but they got their puppets in place. The thing is here, how organized and professional their website is. They have an agenda. They're not all on code, but they're more on code than anybody else. Okay. That's the critical key thing. And they lay it out. But they're able to trick the public and those who are uninitiated and not informed by having all this innocuous language and broad terminology so you don't understand what the hell's going on. So political thought, domestic policy, national security, government spending, international, energy, environment, legal and judicial, culture, economy. Culture is the big one I saw earlier, life or gender. I reviewed some of it. Like I said, I'm going to share this with you guys. You guys have access to this. I just wanted to kind of scratch the surface so you guys are made aware. If you really want to see what's going on, those are some sources you can check out. So let me play this for you guys. This is Donald Trump. During the inauguration, he made a comment about colorblind society, how America needs to be a colorblind society. Okay.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life.
He wants to sign a policy. I don't recall what they call the executive order, what action, what he signed. I don't recall it. But this was during his inauguration speech. So January 20th, right? So a couple months ago. And I recorded this clip because I caught it. I was like, okay, he's publicly telling people, even the YouTube video, the title was, "We'll forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based." Right? They always talk about that colorblind society. It's merit-based, your good work. But we know that's hogwash. Like the color component is there. When you look at like who his appointees are, and it's see, they don't want to acknowledge you, but I just already showed you guys how they acknowledge Middle Eastern and Arab, right? North African. A lot of those people, we could say maybe half of them, they got brown, they got color in their skin, whatnot, but they acknowledge them and will get government funded, taxpayer funded medical research for them. That's okay. But you, the mulatto, See, they want you to be perpetual punks, getting punked by hardcore racist, dark skinned supremacists. That's why they want to throw you into blackness so that you will always be indebted to them. And you're always going to have to fight their battles. They can talk crap and punk you. And I see that with the light skinned guys. They're trying to claim they're mulatto. You're not. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, you're mixed or you're something. I get it, but you're not mulatto. Mulattoes have one white parent, one black parent, or two mulatto parents. If both of your parents are griff or whatever, you got a black parent and a mixed parent, you're something else. Like, sorry guys, I'll be the guy to tell you. Trust me. But that's the critical thing. I want to point out there before I hurt some more feelings. But yeah.
We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit based.
Yeah, colorblind, right? Colorblind. Hogwash. So I didn't expect a turnout tonight, which that's not the objective. The objective here is to get this right here to you guys. This right here. The email, two emails for the Office of Management and Budget. Email them. Tell them you want the mulatto category on the census. It's critically important because we see the agenda, the innocuous language, what they're trying to do, where they acknowledge they have all these Indians, they're flooding in, not just United States, but even in England. They're complaining about that in England over there. But it's like because they need that new buffer class. They'll bring in all these other people and they'll accept their autonomy and sovereignty. They'll acknowledge them, help them out, give them government sponsorship, right? Visas and so they'll help them out. But with you, the mulatto, they are actively trying to suppress you, deny you, and punk you in society. And I see it from the black side, but also the white side too. The white side, it's more craftier. They have more resources at their disposal. The black side, they're just basically jockeying for position from white people. They want acceptance, right? So they want to punk you to feel better about themselves and to prove to white massa that they're more acceptable, right? That's what it is. I don't see too many people calling it out, so I got to get up here and call it out. Basically, that's what it is. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in and all you guys in the playback. Hit the like button. The most important thing, I don't care about the likes or the views, whatever. Share this. Make sure people get this information. The email's on the screen. Email the Office of Management and Budget. Tell them that we need a mulatto category. Okay? It's very easy to do, guys. You guys can do something. Just watching these videos or whatever, it's just easy. That's nothing. Take some action. I tell people, create a social media page, create some imagery. That's easy. I mean, but what's even easier than that is emailing and advocating for yourself. Tell them why it's important. Why are they acknowledging all these other groups? But for you, the mulatto American who has a rich history and culture in America, developing his nation, they want to deny you your autonomy. It's unacceptable today. And like I said, with the right, with the Heritage Foundation and the Renewing of America, Russell Vought, they're trying to say that's identity politics, it's DEI, it should be merit based. Donald Trump saying colorblind, oh, we just got to be good people and focus, blah, blah, blah. They do that to gaslight you because they all have their secret agendas. We already went over Project 2025, Heritage Foundation. They all have their secret agendas to push forward, but they want to basically dissuade you from pursuing your own autonomy, your own agenda. You guys got to start somewhere. Start somewhere, advocate for yourself, email the Office of Management and Budget, tell them you want the mulatto category back on the census. Okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.